up everybody, Nate here, and the traditional 9 to 5 has dominated work in the United States for the better half of the last 50 years, but coming from somebody who has actually worked 9 to 5 jobs for the last decade or so, I can tell you for 100% certainty that these jobs are holding you back, these jobs are keeping you broke, and everything you know about these jobs is total BS. Like I said, I worked in service, I worked in kitchens, and I worked 9 to 5 jobs for around 10 years, and now that I've kind of moved away from that and started doing things for myself, I can tell you why I will never go back to the traditional 9 to 5 lifestyle. Now, I completely understand why people work in the 9 to 5 space to begin with, having actually done it myself. For one, it is perceived as a really safe route for your career. For the most part, you know how much you're going to get paid every single week, and that means you know exactly how much you can spend. That keeps your life stable, and it allows you to spend your money without fear that you're going to lose it all or not have enough the next week. Number two, we perceive 9 to 5 jobs as being dependable. So you know exactly what you're coming into every single week, and you know that the company is probably going to be standing whether you're there or not. So it gives you a little bit of security that your job is safe. Not only that, but we as humans like to develop patterns. So we don't like to have unexpected things in our lives because unexpected things mean we need to adapt, and adapting to things can lead to problems. That could potentially mean failure, and nobody likes to feel like they've failed. So we like to know what's coming next so that way we can prepare. We don't like to have anything that is unexpected. And lastly, it's what we have all been taught since basically birth, right? So I know personally that I was taught that I needed to work really hard so that way I could get really good grades. And if I got really good grades, I could get into a really good college. And if I did even better at that college, now I can get a really good job and then get better promotions and work my way up the corporate ladder. But how many people do you know that actually went down this route are now financially successful or really happy with their lives or thriving years into their careers? Very few, and that's because this 9 to 5 lifestyle that we have been taught since birth is broken. And if you want to have financial success and personal success in your life, then you should never work the 9 to 5, and here's why. But we can all agree that even if you don't work the 9 to 5, we are all trying to go after the same thing in life, and that is money. We need money to fuel our passions. We need money in order to just survive. So at the end of the day, you're going to need to do something in order to make money. In today's economy, the workforce is changing. We have seen the rise of work from home. We've also seen things like the Great Resignation and the anti-work movement give a lot more power back to regular workers and average Americans. That gives them more equity in their actual work, and it gives them the ability to capitalize on opportunities and work for themselves. So I'm not saying that you necessarily have to become an entrepreneur or start your own business, but there are things that you can do to break away from this 9 to 5 lifestyle, and here's exactly why you should. When you don't work the traditional 9 to 5 anymore, well, that means you're going to be working for yourself, or you're going to be working towards something that gives you motivation and hopefully you have a big passion for. That ultimately gives you a reason to get up in the morning, because if you're working the traditional 9 to 5, and even if you started out loving your career, eventually things are going to seem very routine, and if you're always working for somebody else, then you're stifled creatively and you're not really able to spread your wings like you'd like to. So this also gives you a reason to get up in the morning, because every single morning you have a decision to make. You can sleep in a little while and come into work late because you don't enjoy your job, or you can get up and actually do something that you want to do. And like I said, this is just the start, because when you kind of free yourself of that 9 to 5 routine, you kind of break out of those unhealthy habits and those unhealthy routines that many of us fall into when we have a stable 9 to 5 job. And at the end of the day, you want to be always doing something that gives you motivation and that you're passionate about. You want to spend more of your time doing that than doing something that you hate, because we only have so much time on this planet, and I personally would rather be doing something that I love doing than something that I hate doing. And each day that you go to your 9 to 5, it's a lot harder for you to quit and to take a risk. Meanwhile, you are losing so much time doing the things that you love and motivating yourself to become a better person for both your professional life and your personal life. The second reason why I will never go back to the 9 to 5 lifestyle, and why you shouldn't either, is because you are dependent on someone else. So this is one of the biggest fallacies that we are taught about work in in the United States. Like I said before, the reason people work a 9 to 5 is because they perceive it as being safe and dependable, but in reality, it is anything but that. The reality is you are working for someone else. Your boss or your CEO or whoever you work for makes decisions on your behalf. So that could mean that your schedule suddenly changes. That could mean that your pay changes. I mean, how many stories have you personally heard over the last couple of years where you have an employee who is doing everything right? They are showing up on time, they are going above and beyond, and when they ask for a raise, their company refuses to give them one. So they go to another company or they try to get more skills so that way they can get that money that they actually want. But at the end of the day, it's not up to you. It's up to your business. Not to mention, when you work for somebody else, when you have the traditional 9 to 5, you are making someone else richer. You are selling your time in order to get some money back. If you go to your 9 to 5 job and you produce around $200 worth of value in that time, well, you may not be compensated for that $200. Your boss may end up compensating you only $20 an hour. They take all the rest to grow the business, and that's just how capitalism works in the United States. But why not take those same skills and all of that understanding that you have of the business and make yourself a lot richer? That way you are not dependent on someone else for your income. One of the things I love about posting content here on YouTube is if I want to make more money, then I have to make more content, and I have to make better content that people want to watch. If you work a traditional 9 to 5, well, you could be really, really good at your job and maybe you're rewarded for that, or you could be really bad at your job and maybe you're still rewarded for that. Your raises are not always dependent on your performance. So somebody else might get a raise and you might get passed up simply because they have more seniority over you. Like I said, it's not as dependable and it's not as safe as many people like to believe. Your boss can get rid of you at any point, or they can promote you, or they can change your pay, or they can lay you off, or do all of these things. Your job is never safe and it's never guaranteed. So why not take all of those skills and experience that you have and make yourself rich instead of making someone else rich? Not to mention, when it comes to a financial aspect, your income that you make from your 9 to 5 job is the most heavily taxed thing in your entire life. The harder you work and the more money you make, the more you are taxed, which means you lose a lot more. But when you're a business owner, well, you have a lot of tax write-offs and your income might not solely come from your work itself. The same thing happens when you are an investor and you have a lot more tax incentives for you to avoid taxes and end up saving a lot of money. And I want to be super clear here that avoiding taxes is different from evading taxes. Evading taxes is illegal. You're not paying taxes on purpose, but avoiding taxes is working within the established tax code to not pay taxes the legal way. And like I said before, there is only so much time. You only have 24 hours in an entire day to do the things that you want, to take care of yourself, and to work. So you are limited by your 9 to 5 and how much money you can actually make. So your income is totally limited here. If you only work a 9 to 5, well, that's 8 hours a day. But if you work for yourself and you have your money working for you on your behalf, then you can basically gather money 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. That gives you the time to do the things that you want, like things that you're passionate about. Start a side hustle, start a business, go vacationing, whatever you want. You now have your time back. And like I said before, your active income, the work that you make from going to your 9 to 5, well, there is a cap. You have to take care of yourself. There's going to be things that come up in your life and you have to sleep, right? So there's only so much time that you can actually contribute to working, which means you can only make so much money from your job. And probably the biggest reason of why people don't end up just quitting their 9 to 5 is because it is risky. There is a potential for failure. There is a potential that you could start a business or start a side hustle or become an entrepreneur or a founder and you could fail. And the odds are pretty high. 90% of startups actually fail within the first 5 years. But just because you have failed doesn't make you a failure. If you look at some of the most successful founders in American history, they did create businesses that failed. They created products that failed, but at the end of the day, they became successful because they never gave up. They started another business, they tried something else, and they always took that experience from failing as a lesson. And at the end of the day, what do you have to lose? I mean, like I said, we all need money. Money money is a huge important part of all of our lives, so we have to get money from somewhere. Maybe you just want to start small, like creating a side hustle or creating a small business that you can only work at part-time while you gather the experience and understanding and education to fully launch this business full-time at some point. That way you can work your traditional 9-to-5 job while you save up and invest and have the money to launch that business full-time when you're ready. But even if that business fails, well, you can always start another one. Or at the end of the day, you've done it and you realized it's not for you, then you can always go back and work a 9-to-5. Nothing is stopping you from doing that. In fact, you'll probably feel a whole lot better knowing that you tried and failed than if you never tried at all. It is risky being an entrepreneur and starting a business. Those things are definitely risky. Investing is risky. Deep sea fishing is risky. What I'm trying to say here is there is a lot of risks that are going to be presented to you in your life, and you can decide to either take a risk or sit this one out. But what I can tell you from personal experience is nobody ever built anything great. Nobody ever had real, true financial or personal success in their life by not taking any risks. What you want to do in your life is take calculated risks. You want to try to learn as much as you can. You want to try to educate yourself so that way you can take risks without the fear of failure. But just know your 9-to-5 is just as risky because you could lose your job at any point. You could lose your pay at any point. So you have to prepare yourself for that risk as well. And just like you prepare yourself for your 9-to-5 by having a savings account, by investing and having all of these things in place in case you fail there, well, you will also have the same safeguards when you start a business. Nothing is ever perfect in life, and it's going to take you a long time to have success with being an entrepreneur or being a founder or starting your own business. But I can tell you from personal experience that I am never going back to the 9-to-5 lifestyle because the 9-to-5 lifestyle is a total trap, and there is no amount of money in the world that somebody could pay me in an hourly wage for me to give up on my dreams. But that is it for today's business and financial news breakdown. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to stay up to date with all the top business and financial news from around the country, our team puts together a free daily newsletter, and you can subscribe to it by clicking the link in this corner right here. And if you want to stay up to date with me and everything else happening in the business and financial world, I'm putting out updates 7 days a week over here on this channel, and I've actually got another one ready for you right here, so be sure to check that out before you go. That is it for me, everybody. Be kind out there, and I'll see you all in the next one.